Now, if you start the golf swing like this, you will always be a bad golfer. So never ever start it just like we saw there. Because if we do, over the top, motorcycle swing, we're going to be steep as a Jeep, and we're just going to have terrible contact every single time. So let's tell you how to do it properly, and then we'll be on our way to be a really, really good, consistent player. So I'm Jonathan Chan with JChownGolf. Let's dive right into it. So, like we saw there, what was that bad move? That was excessive forearm rotation in the takeaway. So, like I've said many times in my videos, takeaway doesn't matter as much as you think it does. But there are always exceptions to that, of course. There are certain movements, if you do it too much, you're going to struggle. So, excessive forearm rotation, as we can see here, is where my left forearm is rotating a lot to where the underside of the forearm, where my tattoo is rolling towards the ground. Technical term of this is forearm pronation, left forearm pronation. So, if I do that, look at the things that happen. Hands have shot out away from me already. Club face has massively opened up with a standard or weaker grip. And the club shaft has got very, very laid off and horizontal early. So, number of things there that are not good, but it's then how it then goes up to the top of the swing, which is the bad thing, and how it moves in transition. So this forearm rotation here, open club face, laid off shaft, terrible stuff. And then the travel of the golf club going up to the top of the swing is going to be extremely laid off. Club's going to be completely horizontal here. Now, we can either keep it there, or we'll do what most golfers do. And that is, they'll reorganize it at the top. Their body rotation will stop in the backswing because their arms have to do a lot of work to get the shaft into somewhat of a manageable position at the top of the backswing here. So they have this reorganization. Quite often the time, they'll reorganize it too much and get a little bit across the line. But that movement that the club shaft is happening as it's going back up to the top of the swing, it's going to carry on in the downswing. Remember, the golf swing is one big fluid movement. We like to view it as backswing and downswing. We might even like to view it as the P system, P1 all the way to 10. But in reality, it's a swing, isn't it? It's one fluid movement. So whatever is in motion going up to that transitionary period will carry on in motion. So if our club is doing this to carry on, to get itself into a good position with the body stopping, what's going to happen in the downswing? It's going to continue to move in that direction in the downswing. So this big, over the top, steep movement. So we're going to go from shallow to steep. That is not good golf. That is massively over the top as well. If we stay like that, we're going to crazily cut across it, or we're going to have an early extension and tilt back movement to be able to get the club back on path again. Horrible, horrible, horrible thing to do. So, we don't want to do that, do we? Let's talk about how we do it properly. So, the movement we want is more of a neutral forearm movement. So, what that is, that's a little bit less forearm rotation. So, like we said with the bad move, that's the underside of the forearm, the tiger head here and the tattoo rolling towards the ground. That gets all those horrible movements we just talked about. We want this tattoo here, my underside of my forearm, to start to point more up towards the sky. So if I did that, you can see how that club face is going to be a lot more neutral. It's matching my spine angle. You can see how the club shaft is now pretty much just dead straight down away from me rather than laid off. My hands have actually gone more in and around. So I've got that classic hands in, club head out. So that's the one good, well, all those things are one really good thing to have. But it's then how then that encourages the shaft to move up to the top of the backswing and how it will move in transition. So now that's going to encourage a more steeper shaft angle in the backswing whilst the hands are still traveling in and around. So shaft is now traveling steeper. Now we don't have to have a reorganization kind of movement at the top of the swing. We can just continue our body rotation. And now the center of mass of the golf club, which is right around here, the balance point of the golf club, where I can just balance it just like that. Gravity can now hit that correctly, and it can start to shallow out. So that's where we get that steep backswing, shallow downswing. Steep backswing doesn't mean picking the hands and arms up. A lot of people think that. Not at all. Hands going in, club shaft moving steeper from that neutral forearm movement. Now, gravity is going to hit that shaft it's going to rotate and it's going to shallow out way, way, way easier. So that's an incredibly important thing. Now, before we get onto a drill here, there are some golfers who can make that bad movement work. Only if you have an incredibly strong grip. So where your left hand, the palm is dead on top, 4 knuckles, and your right hand is underneath. Then that can work because your club face can be square, but you'd still have a tough time to be able to get that club shaft moving vertically enough. It's going to be quite difficult. You'd have to have a lot of left wrist cupping, a lot of left wrist extension to be able to get that club to move up more vertically. So we want that neutral forearm movement. That'll be more ideal if we have a standard grip. Let's do some drills, guys, to get this into the golf swing. Now, the drill we're going to do here, we can actually do in 2 different ways. I'm going to show you the normal way to do it, and then after that, I'm going to show you the extreme way to do it. So if you really struggle with this huge forearm rotation, it'll be a very good idea to do the second one I'm going to show you, because it's the extreme the other way. And if we've got any fault in the golf swing, we actually want to practice the extreme the other way to be able to get rid of it, because then it's easier to hit the middle. So we need an alignment stick. So this is the normal way. What we do with the alignment stick, we put it down the left-hand side of the golf club, just like this. So we're gripping it down the left-hand side, where a lot of it is coming up here. So long part of the stick here. Now what we do, we just want this stick sliding down our left side. So we're going to notice when we're set up, it's touching our left side. We want it to be sliding down that left side as we're going back in that backswing. Slide it down. So that will get us to our takeaway. Sliding it down gets to the takeaway. See how that tattoo pointed more up towards the sky, club face is square, got that kind of hands going in, everything great. But if I do the opposite and now I detach the stick away from me, so I'm detaching it away from my side straight away, you're going to see how I'm getting all those bad things. Forearm's now pointing down towards the ground, it's pronated, rotated in a terrible way, club head's on the inside, massively kind of laid off shaft, open face. Ugh, not good. So what we want, sliding it down, and then as we start to get past the takeaway, that's when that stick is going to start to slide down and detach a little bit from the left side, and it's going to start to point more down towards the ground. And then we continue our rotation up, that stick will be pointing either directly behind us or a little bit to our right here. And then we can do a little downswing move and get that stick to then point in front of us as we turn through. Not really a drill to hit a golf ball with though. This is swing tracing, swing mapping you can call it as well. So where we're mapping out our ideal movement. Dry drills with our golf ball are the best drills to do because that's how you can do the move perfectly. You can have the right intention and have a great drill to do it with a golf ball, but still the water will be muddied in what you actually want to do. Without a golf ball though, we're not reacting to a golf ball, we're not trying to hit a target, we'll be in a much better place. So, sliding down the side, stick's going to then detach from our side, it's going to be pointing down towards the ground, get up to the top, pointing either directly behind us or in front, and then get it pointing in front and turning through. Fluidly, it would look like this. So one more. Watch the speed I'm doing it as well. I'm not doing it at full speed. I'm doing it quite slow and exaggerated. There we go. That's the normal way to do it. Most of you absolutely do it this way. But you can do it an extremely other way. This is the Matthew Wolf version of this drill. Why I call it that? Because you look like Matthew Wolf when you do it. So, what we do, put the stick on the other side. So now we put it on the right-hand side. So we're going to see some undesirable things from this, but remember, it's extremely other way. Here we go. So when we're setting up to like our imaginary golf ball, let's put a golf ball here just for the sake of it, we're going to notice how we've got this kind of like casting move. But hang on with me. Don't say, no, that's bad. It is bad, yeah, but we're not going to start ingraining this into our takeaway, or into our setup, sorry. But we now can't possibly or physically roll that forearm one bit. So we're still trying to slide this down our side, sliding it down the right-hand side now, but look how it gives you the exact opposite. So look at the underside of my forearm. It points mega up towards the sky. So this is the exact opposite visual as this. Club head is massively on the outside, club face is quite closed. Hands are still massively, massively in. but you can see how I'm almost got the shaft tipping in front of me. So then as I start sliding this down my side, as I get to left arm parallel, it will start to detach. It's got a little bit about like this on the front on. Give me a mega steep shaft, looking like Matthew Wolf, doesn't it? To where then we get up to the top, the stick's pointing dead straight down towards the ground, and then the stick starts going back in front and we turn through. So sliding it down, pointing down towards the ground, stick going back in front of us. So fluid motion. It will look exactly like Matthew Wolf's golf swing, but it's a crazy feel. So let's do it again. So fluid motion once. One more. Again, the speed I'm doing this. See that big pronounced shallowing loop? If you want to shallow the golf club, brilliant one to do. Now, to prove to you that this isn't a terrible thing to do, I'm going to feel that exact same thing with a golf ball here. I'm going to try and replicate that exact extreme one. You're going to see my golf swing's going to look nothing like that. It's just going to encourage me to be more neutral in my takeaway, shaft move up more vertically, and shallow the golf club. So let's try and replicate that exactly. Now, let's look at that. Did that look like that drill? No, it didn't. That's the entire point of it. Now, we have to, if we want to change something, we have to extreme it the other way. If you really struggle with this forearm movement, like we're talking in this video, do it the second way. Because that's going to get you to where you want to go way faster. Then after you've done that a little bit, you feel like you're nailing it, then go back to the normal way of doing it. So don't be afraid to over-exaggerate. Feel is not real. Something to remember with the golf swing, especially in the initial changes or initial stages of a change. Feel is not real. So, absolutely learn from this video how to get the takeaway into a good spot to encourage good shaft movement, to then encourage a good transition. So just like we said in the title, don't do this, you know, if you don't want to be a terrible golfer, but you can do it that other way and you'll have all these good other things encouraged nicely to happen. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So brilliant drills for you to be doing. Get doing them. And then you're going to be starting that golf swing off so you can then play some great golf.